magnificent pyramids rising from the jungle, advanced mathematics and astronomy, a sophisticated calendar more accurate than the one we use today. For centuries, we've romanticized the Maya civilization as peaceful stargazers and brilliant intellectuals. But beneath this carefully constructed modern image lies a darker truth, one of blood sacrifice, brutal warfare, and environmental collapse. The Maya weren't just astronomers. They were warriors, conquerors, and masters of psychological terror who built an empire on pain and fear. The Maya civilization flourished in Mesoamerica from approximately 2000 BCE to 1500 CE, reaching its height during what scholars call the Classic Period, 250–900 CE. Their territory spanned what is now southern Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. What they achieved was remarkable. Cities with populations exceeding 100,000, massive stone structures built without metal tools or the wheel, and written language when much of Europe remained illiterate. But our understanding of the Maya has been distorted by centuries of romanticization, and more recently, New Age mysticism that portrays them as peaceful astronomers who mysteriously vanished. Archaeological evidence tells a very different story. Let's start with perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of Maya culture: human sacrifice. Far from being rare or symbolic, sacrifice was central to Maya religious and political life. Dr. Vera Teisler, a bioarchaeologist at the Autonomous University of Yucatan, has examined hundreds of skeletal remains from Maya sacrificial contexts. Her findings are disturbing. The evidence shows that sacrifice victims underwent excruciating procedures while still alive. Dr. Teisler explains, heart extraction was common, but we also see evidence of flaying, dismemberment, and decapitation, all performed on living victims. At the sacred cenote at Chichen Itza, archaeologists have recovered the remains of over 120 individuals, many of them children. Analysis of their bones reveals cut marks consistent with heart removal before the bodies were thrown into the water. This wasn't isolated to Chichen Itza. Similar evidence has been found at Tikal, Palenque, Copan, and virtually every major Maya center. The victims weren't just captured enemies. Isotope analysis of the remains shows many were local children, often from elite families. Parents would offer their own children as the highest possible tribute to the gods. Contrary to popular belief, the Maya were not a unified, peaceful civilization. They were a collection of competing city-states engaged in near-constant warfare. Dr. David Stewart, one of the world's foremost Maya epigraphers, has translated inscriptions that document centuries of brutal conflicts. These texts boast of captured rulers being tortured, mutilated, and publicly executed. The Maya engaged in what we might call total war, Dr. Stewart notes. They didn't just target enemy combatants. They would destroy entire communities, capturing women and children for sacrifice and slavery. Recent LiDAR scanning of the Maya region has revealed extensive defensive walls, moats, and fortifications around major centers. Physical evidence of societies living in constant fear of attack. At the site of Dos Pilas in Guatemala, archaeologists have uncovered evidence of a particularly brutal conflict. The city's defensive walls were breached, and skeletal remains show that the population, including women and children, was systematically executed. Their bodies were left unburied, a final humiliation. The Maya rulers used warfare and sacrifice as tools of political control. Public displays of violence weren't just religious ceremonies. They were calculated demonstrations of power, designed to terrify both enemies and their own populations into submission. Maya warfare employed psychological tactics that would be considered war crimes today. Captives were often kept alive for years, periodically tortured and displayed during public ceremonies before their eventual execution. The famous Maya ball game wasn't just a sport. While modern interpretations often downplay this aspect, archaeological evidence confirms that losing players were frequently sacrificed. Their skulls were sometimes used to make the rubber balls for future games, a grim reminder of the stakes. Perhaps the darkest truth about the Maya is how their civilization ultimately collapsed. Far from mysteriously disappearing, the Maya fell victim to a catastrophe partially of their own making. Recent paleoclimatic research has revealed that the Maya experienced a series of severe droughts between 800 and 950 CE, precisely when their civilization began to collapse. But these natural climate shifts were exacerbated by the Maya's own environmental practices. Dr. Timothy Beach, a geoarchaeologist at the University of Texas, has found evidence of massive deforestation throughout the Maya lowlands. They cleared vast areas of rainforest for agriculture and to fuel the kilns that produced lime plaster for their buildings, he explains. This deforestation changed local rainfall patterns and degraded the soil. The Maya population had grown to unsustainable levels. By the late Classic period, population density in the central Maya lowlands reached an estimated 200 people per square kilometer, comparable to modern Belgium. This population required intensive agriculture. The Maya created raised fields, terraces, and complex irrigation systems. But these systems required constant maintenance and became vulnerable during periods of drought. As resources dwindled, competition between city-states intensified. Warfare became more frequent and more destructive. Archaeological evidence shows that during the terminal Classic period, defensive walls were hastily constructed, often using stones from dismantled temples, a sign of desperate times. The collapse wasn't sudden. It was a cascading failure that played out over generations. As food production declined, political authority fragmented. Inscriptions from this period show increasing references to warfare and fewer to ritual activities. The final blow came in the form of popular uprisings. At several sites, archaeologists have found evidence that commoners revolted against the elite. Royal palaces were burned, monuments defaced, and ritual objects deliberately destroyed. The people lost faith in rulers who couldn't provide rain or successful harvests, explains Dr. Elizabeth Graham of University College London. The divine authority of kings collapsed when their claims to control the cosmos proved hollow. The Maya didn't disappear. Their descendants, over 6 million people, still live throughout Central America today, many maintaining aspects of their ancestral culture and language. But the great cities were abandoned, reclaimed by the jungle. The complex writing system was forgotten until modern scholars deciphered it. The elaborate calendar systems fell into disuse. What can we learn from the dark truths of the Maya civilization? Perhaps that even the most sophisticated societies remain vulnerable to environmental change, especially when they contribute to that change through unsustainable practices. Perhaps that systems built on extreme inequality and ritualized violence contain the seeds of their own destruction. The Maya achievement was remarkable. They created monumental architecture, accurate astronomical tables, and a writing system capable of expressing complex ideas. They performed cranial surgery with survival rates comparable to 19th century Europe. They developed a mathematical system with the concept of 0 centuries before it appeared in the Old World. But they also created a society where kings claimed divine right to spill the blood of their subjects, where warfare was glorified, and where environmental degradation ultimately undermined their very existence. The Maya remind us that human societies can be simultaneously brilliant and brutal, capable of mathematical genius and calculated cruelty. Their civilization wasn't mysteriously lost. It collapsed under the weight of climate change, resource depletion, warfare, and social upheaval. As we face our own environmental challenges and social divisions, the Maya offer not mystical wisdom, but a stark historical warning. Advanced knowledge doesn't guarantee survival. Sophisticated culture doesn't prevent collapse. The true legacy of the Maya isn't found in New Age fantasies or apocalyptic predictions. It's written in the ruins of once great cities, in the bones of sacrifice victims, and in the resilience of their descendants who survived the collapse of their world. Perhaps the darkest truth is also the most important. Civilization is more fragile than we like to believe. Thanks for watching Dark Thoughts, where we delve into the shadows of reality that others are afraid to explore. If there's a dark corner of human experience you'd like us to investigate, leave your suggestions in the comments below. Until next time, question everything, fear nothing, and remember, the darkest thoughts often lead to the brightest truths.